Mother speaks. I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space, the Moon, Dark Matter, the Void, the Black Hole, Hathor, Isis, Diana, Mami Ishtar, Kali, Mammy, and Mother Mary. Well, welcome to Great Mother Speaks. I'm Tammy Taylor, your manifestation muse, and today we're talking about
your Great Mother Speaks March full moon reading. This full moon is in Leo. It is a very powerful full moon. It is the full moon that marks the halfway place of this eclipse season. This is the halfway mark, the pinnacle, the arc, the climax of this season. And we pay attention to the eclipse season here with the lunar readings from Great Mother, our still small voice, that intuition, what we know, because this channel is all about aligning our emotion, that Western astrology, that how we feel energy with the intuitive energy. And in order to do that, we do have to be aware of the difference. So the difference is the emotional heart below energy. That is about survival. That is about the continuum between fear and love, pain and joy. So that kind of relay system from the heart below chakras to the heart above chakras, which are the intuitive realm. It's the realm of the soul. Now, all of our chakras contain the yin and the yang, and so that's what the readings get into. They get into how we are supported energetically throughout these purification seasons, which are what ecliptical seasons are. This one right now with Leo in the North Node and Aquarius in the South Node has to do with following our hearts, that Leo energy, that Great Father energy ruled by the Sun, at the expense or with the group thought as an afterthought. So following one's heart, doing what you want to do first as a priority, and then considering the needs of others is really what this energy is about. It's about us being supported in pursuing what it is our heart, that crossroads between the ego and the soul, wants to do in this lifetime. And so there's been a lot of energy supporting that. Have all of us done a beautiful job at exhibiting that and at communicating that to one another? Perhaps not necessarily, but it's all in divine order, and that's what we focus on here. We focus on our divinity. 3 primary concepts: that we are divine children of the Great Mother, Father, God. The second is that we are therefore never condemned or judged. And finally, we are never left alone. There's always guidance along our path. We use the analogy of the Wizard of Oz to exemplify this. They are black and white cards, symbolizing the yin and the yang, the Great Father energy of the Sun and the Great Mother energy of the Moon, that darkness, that still small voice, that black void of the cosmos, and the Sidereal astrology, which is where Cancer is in the North Node, or Rahu at this time, and Capricorn is in the South. This is very important to know. The Great Mother, Great Father nexus that we're working with is extremely powerful. It has to do with the transition from the Piscean age to the Aquarius age. We are letting go of Aquarius energies that no longer serve us, and we're moving more into Aquarian energies that have to do with personal, individual spiritual expression. And so this ecliptical season is a series of ecliptical seasons that will usher in the Aquarius age in earnest. Great Mother is the Moon, which rules Cancer, the North Node in the Sidereal. The Sidereal astrology is the soul astrology, and this is where you hear me refer to the double houses. So, for example, if you are Leo, then more than likely your sidereal sign is Cancer, unless you're about the 5th of the people that exist that have both. Leo, etc., etc. If you want to double check, be sure to do so at the links below. While you're there, I would also like you to take a look at the Mama Drama Trauma channel. It's just getting up and going. The website is coming soon. But for those of you who are the majority that are here out of the work that I do with Mama Drama Trauma and how Great Mother came through to create this deck and to create this work to heal Mama Drama Trauma. I would really appreciate your critiques and your feedback. The channel and the website that's coming is going to be a resource for you to be able to identify, for you to be able to assess, and to get the materials that you need to support your healing of this condition. Mama Drama Trauma is a condition in which the mother projects unhealed aspects of herself onto her child, causing emotional and/or physical trauma. In cases where she's unable, unwilling, or unavailable to heal, loving detachment is required. Loving detachment is the basis of these readings. And with these readings, we're looking at energies as impersonal energies that support divine beings, our experience. The black and white world of yin and yang is the world of infinite probabilities. It is the world, the source and center of all things. It also symbolizes the farm where Dorothy came from and from which she returned. The yellow brick road, or the rainbow world, technicolor world, is the world of reality and illusion in which we descend into in order to have experiences that evolve our soul. For Mama Drama Trauma, for example, the life lesson for soul evolution is self-love and spiritual independence. Every full moon and new moon is an opportunity to work with energies in order to achieve that here with Great Mother Speaks. For this full moon in Leo, this is the counterbalance of the Leo sun that was active during the total solar eclipse back in August. Although this is not an eclipse, it marks the halfway mark because we have up to this point had the total solar eclipse in August. Before that, the season started in earnest with a partial lunar eclipse at the beginning of August, whose moon was in Aquarius. And we have just had a partial solar eclipse whose moon was in Aquarius. But before that, there was a total lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipses are always during the full moon. They are cleansing, purification moons. And solar eclipses pull shadows to show us what needs to be looked at. So just this past February 15th, just recently, 2 weeks ago, you might want to check out what Great Mother was saying to you about the shadows that were being pulled out for you. That moon was in Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Capricorn in the Sidereal, and Aquarius, Pisces in the Western. So it was pulling up shadows for us that had to do with that transition from the Aquarius to the Pisces age. Capricorn in the South Node in the Sidereal is a soul indication that now as we are moving into lighter, more soulful energies of Pisces and the Aquarius genius energy of individual expression, which is a higher expression than Leo, but in the South Node and the Western, it's a balancing of paying attention too much to this physical world and being able to relax in the reality of our divinity. If that sounds like a little bit too much, let's unwrap it here and let's talk a little bit more about the rainbow world in which we exist. It's full of planets, it's full of chakras that assist us in the centrifugal forces of these energies in our bodies that ground our soul energy here. What I'm going to do is pull a card for each sign. This is going to be an indication for you of how Great Mother is working with you this March full moon. This halfway mark has to do with this energy going more into self-expression, heart expression, and releasing the group on an ego level, and deeper going into the Cancer, Rahu, North Node level of using that individual expression to be more caring, to have more solidly grounded homes, solidly grounded mothering, self-care, and releasing the need for so much order and so much structure that is resisting or blocking our ability to do so. For your sign, there's going to be a different message that Great Mother comes to you about this particular halfway mark. Because as we move into the rest of the season, which ends in November, we have one more total lunar eclipse in July, and we have a partial solar eclipse in August, closing things out. Now, the season began in earnest back in May of 2017. What was happening for you 9 months ago? An eclipse season is 18 months, so we're at that 9-month mark. What was happening for you and perhaps to you May of last year? Collectively, Venus had just left Aries, and it had been in Aries back and forth with Pisces in retrograde for a couple of months. And when it finally left, a lot of us had come to a realization about some things that we perhaps had known, but the truth was going to take us some time to process, particularly in the areas of personal relationships and what our personal needs were. This was the entry point into this Cancer Leo North Node energy that started in earnest with the lunar eclipse at the beginning of August in Aquarius. What this means is that as the nodes shifted from Virgo Pisces, ordering our emotions into being clear about those emotions, and the purification, which opened up this eclipse season back in August, was purifying what was from the previous eclipse season that needed to be clarified in terms of our spirituality, in terms of our higher knowing, in terms of what we knew we needed in order to have internal balance. And so as this eclipse season opened, I want you to kind of think about where you were with that. Because now, since the shadows have been revealed and purified throughout this eclipse season, be sure to watch the first quarter video for this year, January through March, if you haven't been keeping up with what's going on, because the second quarter videos are about to be released for April through June. See what Great Mother was saying to you at the beginning of this year with regard to where you are now. Because this reading, this halfway mark reading, is very important. It is the reflection of what the cleansing period has been coming up to this point of self-clarity, of self-desire, how to use that in mature and loving ways for yourself and for your home, which is the foundation of outward expression, that Aquarius energy, okay? With now the supportive energies being available for us to implement and to manifest our will from that foundation. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Hi, Scorpio, Sagittarius moon people. Let's see what Great Mother is saying are the supportive energies for you to feel loved as a divine child of the Great Mother, Father God, that you are never judged or condemned, and to know that you are never alone. So the energies that support you with that are coming up as Demeter, the full moon gut chakra card. The full moon gut chakra card is, of course, indicative of the full moon in Leo, which is in your 9th and 10th houses. 10th house is the Sidereal from the Scorpio, having to do with your wish fulfillment of your gifts, talents, abilities that you came here to share with the world. And from the 9th house of Sagittarius, Leo is letting us know that you have a will to fulfill your higher knowing. And so maybe you want to learn something. Maybe that's why you're here. You're wanting to have a higher connection with the wisdom or your philosophy expansion. You're wanting to get tapped into that. And this is encouraging you to accept your feelings, to accept that perhaps there is a transformation occurring with your philosophy at this time. It's also saying that it's really important that you accept the power that is being transmitted to you at this time through the ninth house, because of course you do represent the ninth house, Sagittarius, and so there's a particular power when Leo is there, because Leo is ruled by the sun, and so it's really shining a light on that sagacious nature that you have intuitively. And so your soul from that 10th house of Scorpio, that is what your sidereal moon sign is more than likely. If it is the same as your Sagittarius, well, then you might want to check out the Capricorn video. Check out the links below to see which video resonates most with you, because these energies really do tie into a specific frequency. These are general readings done from the first house of each lunar sign. So Sagittarius represents the first house, which is how we get the Leo in the ninth house. But in your actual birth chart, your moon sign might be in your third or your seventh house. So I encourage a personal reading for a precise look at what's happening for you this full moon. But having said that, your collective celestial unconsciousness is approaching this full moon with the need to accept how you're feeling about your philosophy at this time. There's nothing that directly indicates there's been a change in your philosophy since the last two eclipses in January and February, but there is something that indicates that there has been a revelation that has occurred in your life that was a very abrupt revelation that occurred as a result of you following your intuition. Our gut is connected to our third eye, which is why in the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck there's an antenna through our gut chakra that goes up into the third eye suit of cards, and underneath your gut chakra card of accepting your feelings, that light, that full moon light, which is in Aquarius, Pisces, Aquarius and the Sidereal, Pisces in the Western, is shining a light from your third and fourth houses, saying that your soul is communicating to you what your gifts, talents, and abilities are at this particular time. And you are downloading this with an emotional response that is really shining a light on your home situation and your philosophy. So, what is your philosophy about home? How is that working, and how is that interacting with how you're communicating your gifts, talents, and abilities? Does it work together? Are you one way at home and another way at work? There seems to be some indication that that might be the case for you at this particular time, Sagittarius moon people, which I keep pulling toward this idea of there being a transformation that has occurred recently for you that would perhaps cause this, but there is no direct indication by the transits, because the partial solar eclipse was in your third and fourth houses. And so again, this communication about your domestic situation, about your maternal situation with your mother, or how you were mothering others, there were some shadows that came up about that. And so maybe that's what needs to be accepted at this time. And maybe your philosophy about motherhood is changing as a result. Maybe your philosophy about how you need to be mothered is changing as a result of you looking past an illusion, you looking past some betrayal that existed prior to 2018. That since, well, even the beginning of this year up until January 31st, maybe there were some things that were not being directly addressed, and you were still having difficulty accepting your feelings around that. And that's where I'm getting the transformation from, okay? And so there has been a shift, because we're seeing full moon and new moon cards. And so that harkens back to the total lunar eclipse, which is a full moon, that January full moon, which was in your ninth and third houses. The moon was in Cancer, Leo, which is in your ninth house, that higher learning again, that philosophy, that traveling, that lightheartedness, that levity. And so maybe lightening up around some of these communication issues with that sun in Capricorn, Aquarius, which is where the South Node in K2 is. And so probably releasing some intense feelings because there was an illusion that was revealed, and so that made room for you to see the light. And in doing that, when the new moon partial solar eclipse came, February 15th, in your third and fourth houses, you were able, willing, and available to communicate those needs. The sun being in Aquarius, you were able to share with the group, how you felt, perhaps, or how the group was making you feel, because self-acknowledgement is very important in intuition, isn't it? It's not always about communicating our emotions to other people, but intuition often involves the acknowledgement of our emotions and our awareness about the source of them and what triggers them. Wow. Sagittarius moon people, you have kicked off this awareness of this full moon with that gut chakra full moon card, and your transformational opportunity is with the Dagda. The Dagda is a great father law card. It is the law of divine mother, which is about tapping into that wisdom. And so this is hearkening back to that February new moon partial solar eclipse that was in Capricorn and that Aquarius Pisces cusp moon, which was in your third and fourth houses. So communicating your needs at home, the transformational opportunities for you to do that. You haven't done that. And how we know is because this is a double yin symbol, so there's no yang there. There's no action that has taken place on what has been downloaded to you about this illusion. You've kind of been keeping it to yourself, and that's why you need to accept your feelings, because the transformational opportunity, therefore, is going to be in you acting upon what you've downloaded from a Great Mother. We see that there is an earphone, and there's listening as well as speaking. That's the fifth chakra energy, And so this fifth chakra energy of heart above consciousness is where we express our higher will. But since the Ankh symbolizes the second chakra in the Great Mother Speaks deck, what this means for you is that your desire needs to be communicated, and you know what your true desire is based on what you have already downloaded about the truth of this situation. You know how you want to handle it. You know, in fact, how you feel about it at this time. If you don't know exactly how you want to handle it, once you assert and accept your true feelings, which have to do with wanting to be at peace, wanting to be at home, wanting to be balanced within yourself, you are going to achieve that by acting on what you know. That's the transformational opportunity with this Leo full moon. It is about action, isn't it? It is about that gut chakra energy of that will. It's about that heart chakra energy in the Western, acting on what you feel and your true expression. It's about the third chakra energy, that sixth chakra energy connection to the third chakra energy, okay, in the Sidereal, where the sun rules the Ajna chakra, and the Sidereal, which is that 10th house, that wish fulfillment. So there's some type of an obstacle at home that is creating a blockage in how you are expressing your gifts, talents, and abilities in the world. Maybe your career is suffering because of this illusion, or vice versa. Maybe there's something at work that you need to accept how you feel about it, so that you can express your gifts, talents, and abilities at home as a mother, or how you are mothered and how you are nurtured at home, allowing your close ones and your loved ones to love you and support you in ways that will allow you to fulfill your wishes in the world. Our home is our foundation. What Great Mother doesn't want you to overlook is that, in fact, you do feel rejected. There is some dejection. You do feel alone. And maybe you do have mama drama trauma. You know, maybe that is what you're actually feeling at this time. This is the Orphan card, the Newt card of the Great Mother Speaks deck. It is a new moon card. And so since that new moon, February, this is prompting us to take a look at that video again, Sagittarius moon people. Just February, the last upload. You want to look at that partial solar eclipse. See what Great Mother was saying to you. That was the new moon. You received some downloads about the truth of the situation at work or at home with regard to your gifts and talents. But you also have gotten some great insights about motherhood, about your foundation. Again, that's your foundation, our home, to go out into the world so that we can share our gifts and talents and abilities, right? And so the root chakra is our security, our safety, our financial situation. She doesn't want you to keep overlooking that like it's not important. It is. It's important that you accept how you feel about that situation. If you want to know more about Mama Drama Trauma, click the links below. There's information there for you, and the website will be up within the month where you can just download whatever information you need to support you on your journey, because it is a planetary disorder. It is a situation that really just stunts our growth and our development and blocks our ability to share our gifts and talents in the world. It really does make us feel like life is over. It's a life sentence, and it's not. It's not a life sentence. If that doesn't apply to you at all, you don't know any of what I'm talking about, then you feel like you haven't done anything to anyone, and you don't know why there's this feeling of attack. You have no idea. There hasn't been a download to you. There hasn't been any indication to you as to why a person at work or at home is mistreating you. Maybe they have mama drama trauma or daddy drama trauma, and that is why you're experiencing it, and you don't know it. It is a pattern of abuse because it is how individuals who grew up in homes like that learn how to relate to others, and oftentimes its effects are delayed because of the coping mechanisms people have with mama drama trauma, the people pleasing behavior to garner the trust and closeness of others. And then once there's a feeling of safety, the defenses come down, and you're able to see, the effects of that abuse, something that you never knew before. And so that causes all types of problems with safety, security, and finance. Those emotions from that abandonment and abuse can only be suppressed for so long. And so maybe you're in a situation where you're, again, in a relationship with someone like that in a home environment. Maybe you're just coming to realize that you do have mama drama trauma, and you just are like, okay, so now what do I do? What does that mean? And what Great Mother is coming through and she's saying to you is that the obstacle for you right now, that these energies are helping to assuage so that you feel the loving support that you need to feel to work with this this Leo will assertion energy, is acknowledgement. That abandonment and abuse has to be acknowledged. It has to be acknowledged. There's a difference between saying, wow, so-and-so is acting really, really strange, and I have no idea why this person is behaving this way. And to have that experience over and over and over and over again, and continue to say the same thing over and over again, I don't know, and acknowledging it by admitting, I've observed this situation each time it's happened, and it is definitely triggered when they talk to their mother or when they are talking to their child about this specific type of situation, talking to the child about their diet, talking to the child about their homework. There's something that triggers it, and there's an issue here specifically. This is your shadow. You haven't been paying attention to your triggers. There's a person, there's a situation, there's a relationship that's triggering you, and you have the higher knowing. Sagittarius moon people, you are the sages of the zodiac. Your moniker is I see. That's the moniker of Sagittarius. Scorpio is I transform. And speaking of I see, you're dancing with this Leo moon energy, with the energy of Maya, illusion. So that's that new moon from that February partial solar eclipse that we're coming around to, in the position of how you are addressing or working with this shadow, and you're not consciously but unconsciously in the shadow, that inconvenient truth spot, that place that we'd rather stay in the dark, not talk about, certainly not acknowledge to anyone else, let alone ourselves sometimes. Ooh, Sagittarius, I'm surprised at you. But you know what? I can see why that would be the case for you if the lunar eclipse happened in your ninth house. Because lunar eclipses purify. They are the purification from the shadows that come out in the solar eclipses. And there were huge shadows that came out with that big total solar eclipse back in August. Remember that? The one the world stopped to watch. Huge shadows came out immediately afterwards. We had water disasters across the entire Western Hemisphere. And Southern Hemisphere, Australia had fires. We had a lot of mama drama trauma issues that came up in the form of sexual abuse, which begins in the home. We had issues that were surrounding scandals, scams, that sort of thing, that again has to do with feelings of poverty and scarcity and not enough. That is conditioned at home. And so we look at the maternal energy of nurturing, compassion, and when you do that from a Sagittarius position in relationship to Leo, there is a higher knowing about how to express yourself, and that's not always well received. And because the sun was in your third house during that total lunar eclipse in Capricorn Aquarius, that's South Node energy, okay? That's where the South Node is in the Sidereal, K2, and that's where the South Node is in the Western, in Aquarius. And so that third house of communication is kind of being cleansed and being purified, and you probably feel like you are in an echo chamber, is what I'm getting. But that's because you just simply haven't stopped. You haven't stopped long enough to really actually look at how you're feeling about the situation right now. There's some abandonment and abuse going on at work or at home that Great Mother is saying needs to be acknowledged. She doesn't want you to overlook it. And if you do accept your feelings, you're going to be reborn. But you're going to have to sacrifice this resistance to accepting how you feel about it. And you know, it's normal for you to feel rejected, dejected, and left alone and confused. That might not be a comfortable feeling for you, Sagittarius moon people, but you need to acknowledge that's how you feel so that you can sacrifice the relationships, the circumstances, the triggers that are causing you to feel that way. The Osiris Horus card is the card of rebirth. It is the card of the waxing gibbous moon, the waning gibbous moon rather. It is waxing. It's getting late. It's the waxing gibbous moon, the fifth chakra card. And so this is the build-up. You're revising, you're editing, you're reevaluating how you are feeling. And Great Mother is saying, stop. Just accept it. You don't have to keep analyzing it anymore. Accept it so that you can sacrifice those things that are making you feel that way, because anything that makes you feel less than a divine child of the Great Mother, Father, God is not something that's serving you. Ask for the guidance, ask for the wisdom from your angels, guides, and ancestors to release that from your life. And maybe that is what is making you feel kind of overwhelmed with this, is that it's a big issue. It's a big deal maybe for you. And this is indicated by the scene of this card. This is the scene in The Wizard of Oz when Dorothy douses the witch with the bucket of water and destroys her, dissolves her completely. She didn't know that was going to happen. She was just trying to douse the fire that the witch, had to set Scarecrow on fire. And you don't want to make a mistake like that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to speak your truth in that way. Not that you even have to do that. Acknowledgement doesn't necessarily mean that you have to speak your truth immediately. Eventually, we always do, because eventually we do have to establish boundaries to maintain, to establish our power, to take our power back, which is what this scene in The Wizard of Oz is about. In order to get the broom, she did have to destroy the witch. The witch wasn't going to stop. She came in the form of Miss Gulch, trying to take Toto. That's why she was confused. She was feeling orphaned, dejected, rejected. Why is this woman tripping about my little dog? And then she came in the house and took the dog. That's why she ran away. Toto symbolizes her intuition. And that's what we're talking about this partial solar eclipse, that last new moon video for you Sagittarius moon people, because that's your intuition card in this reading. And there is an illusion that you're dancing with, and that's normal. That's normal, especially in the beginning of Mama Drama Trauma, that, things are going to work out. Things are going to, it's Mama Drama Trauma is when the mother projects unhealed aspects of herself onto her child, causing emotional and or physical abuse. Maybe that's something that you're doing to your child because you experienced that and you don't want to see that, you don't want to acknowledge that, because it's not about fault, and you might feel fault if you do, but it's not about that. This scene, actually, if you could see, there are red shoes here, and that is when Glinda the Good Witch bestows the ruby red slippers on Glinda. So accepting your feelings is really about accepting your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. It's not about accepting guilt or shame. This is a gut chakra card. Shame is root chakra. Guilt is second chakra. Esteem and confidence is gut chakra. This is your birthright as a divine child, those ruby red slippers. That's why the witch couldn't take them off of Dorothy's feet, even when Dorothy was trying to give them away. She said, take the shoes, but give me Toto. She wasn't giving up her intuition, and you don't give up yours either. Go back and look at that video. See what Great Mother was saying to you, because there's something here about you dancing with this illusion, this untruth, and not allowing yourself to be reborn with those ruby red slippers, the full moonlight of this powerful Leo energy. The nakshatra that Leo is in the Sidereal is called Maha. It's a very mature, refined, dignified, kingly, patriarchal Leo energy. It's very successful. It's mature. It's not the immature, childish, attention-seeking, stereotypical Leo energy. And so you have the support of this full moon in your ninth house of higher knowing to communicate that higher knowing to yourself. Take a breath. To yourself. You're a divine child. You can do it. You're not a victim. You've lived many lives. This is another life in which you're learning self-love and spiritual independence through this experience of mama drama trauma. It's a rebirth within a lifetime to heal mama drama trauma. We don't have to die. This isn't a life sentence before we can enjoy life again. We resurrect within this life when we accept our divinity. Don't be afraid to accept your feelings. It's a part of your divinity. The Western astrology gives us very clear signpost. It's the GPS for the soul to know where the ego mind, body mind is at any given time. And it's connected to these chakras, the centrifugal force that goes around and around and around and around and around and around and around to crystallize us into form, to crystallize spirit into form, just like that birth chart does, that you generate through the calculator underneath here when you do your birth chart. It's just a snapshot of the state your soul was in at the time you were born. Its level of evolution at the time of your birth. It's just a snapshot of spirit come into form. And this form is not the point. It's the internal, that heart above energy, that higher will energy, that mature Leo energy that needs to be expressed at this time. And what needs to be released is that immature Leo energy that is trying to dance with this illusion and still try to have the attention and adoration for people at the expense of you feeling orphaned and alone. By doing that acknowledgement and acceptance of your feelings, you're going to be able to embody a element of justice for yourself. Many times we look for justice to come outside of ourselves. And this journey in the rainbow world in many ways teaches us that that justice, that righteousness is within us. It is us. It is our birthright. Happiness, health, and wholeness. So this first quarter moon in the third eye is that moon, sun energy in the sidereal that rules the Ajna chakra, the moon and the sun. And we have the moon and the sun represented here. That is balancing out this journey for you. It's letting you know that you do embody the yin-yang energies to such a capacity to heal yourself that all it really does take is for you to own your wisdom. Own that wisdom. The first quarter comes after the new moon. So it's time to make a decision. We have free will. It's time to make a decision whether or not you're going to adhere to the law that's been brought before you in this reading, which is the law of Divine Mother, to trust that inner wisdom, to acknowledge it to yourself, accept how you feel, and allow that justice to take place in your life. And It may not seem like the justice that we see on TV in the court shows. It may not be the justice that we have imagined should happen for this situation, but it is exactly the balance that we need. Great Mother provides us clarity, balance, and confirmation on a soul level. And on a soul level, this moon is in your 10th house. And so your 10th house is your wish fulfillment. Your soul's wish fulfillment is your 10th house. Okay, and that is where Leo is for you. This is a very powerful evolutionary juxtaposition for you to pause and reflect upon for this full moon, because your outcome is purification. You will be purified by this full moon. The total lunar eclipse was powerful and all of that from the total solar eclipse, and it brought up issues for you with regard to this higher knowing that you have and communication. But it left you feeling perhaps even more dejected and rejected and resisting the acceptance of how you feel. But having heard this message from Great Mother, and now knowing that the energies that are present support you in moving forward with your journey, in loving and trusting yourself enough to acknowledge how you feel, you will be purified. You will be taken from one state of consciousness into another. Great Mother has spoken. She loves you dearly. She wants you to know beyond a shadow of a doubt you are her divine child who is never judged or condemned or left alone. This is heart above energy that's coming to support you. And so you will be able to assert your higher will with this Leo full moon by releasing what no longer serves you, which is the lie of rejecting this abandonment and abuse and thinking that that's going to make everything okay. You know the truth. There's a higher knowing that you have. Trust the justice, and that is going to happen, which will purify you. It's going to take you from this state to a state that you can't even imagine. You don't even, you're not even thinking about it right now. This is the card in the Wizard of Oz when Dorothy and the three finally make it to Oz's castle. And once they enter, they're immediately rushed to the wash and brush up, where they're transformed from one state into another for their journey to take their power back. So this is the midway mark for you, Sagittarius moon people. Great Mother has spoken. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, and liking. But above all and most of all, remember, Great Mother loves you. And I do too.
I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space, the Moon, Dark Matter, the Void, the Black Hole, Attar, Ice.